This is a mic test. Okay, I guess that's fine. Okay, so running my chat, my empty chat about. Okay, so continuing from what I was doing the last time, I okay. So what I was doing the last time was try to set up journal. The journal, no journals, no default journal configured. Oh, I need to do that as well. Okay, so so journal, the application uses the config file, but I have to set it up manually, and I don't want to do that. I want to have an easier way to set this up, especially the encryption part, because by itself, the only way I can do encryption with journal is by the only way I can do is encryption in journal is by decrypting the journal and then encrypting it again, which is boring, annoying, and I don't like it. So my great idea was to create a just target, just set up journal. And after a point of time, it stopped being a just and it just turned into a very long shell script. So it makes more sense for me to just stop doing that and just create the shell script separately. Where did I keep this? Local share. Yeah, home. Just set up mod.just, and then I'm gonna create a new one in local lib exec, add to journal config. Yeah, sounds good. Okay. Why did I set X over here? Okay, because I was still debugging. If if debug is not empty, we're gonna set X config directory is equal to xdg config home. If not, it's home config and then journal. That's the config directory. If the directory doesn't exist, we're going to create it, and then conf file is confli/journal.yaml. We're going to create a temporary directory. Why is this aligned like that? Oh, because I had, okay, only takes one signal spec, I guess. Yeah, that works. So every time I exit, I'm removing my temporary directory. I don't need the F. Look up password. So much, so much, so much. Local D is equal to password store directory, or it's going to be home.password store, which is the default, and then it's going to be journal. Local F name in name and default to local F is equal to directory. Okay, I actually don't remember my own code, so let's read this. There's a there's an if that's not matched to anything. Mm, 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 mm. Why is this hanging? Okay, I'm not sure. Let me let me start over. So this is based on my own config because I keep my journal files in this directory. We're gonna find files there that have the name.txt. Auto align is not very good here. Da, 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 da. Done is missing. What on earth is happening here? To journal config and add journal to config. I like that better, so I'm going to rename this local libexec. But this does not make sense. Why is this? Why is this? Why is this in red? Okay, anyway, I've been thinking that I should probably stop doing. Oops. I should probably stop doing a find and just take file names in the as arguments because this is kind of complicated and it's annoying. Okay, let's see what the important parts are. From the file name, you get the name, then you get the name, and then you get encrypt. If encrypt is true, look up known password, look up password. So for some reason, with command grouping, NeoVim is telling me there's an error, and if I use subshell grouping, it doesn't care. Okay, that makes sense because I didn't see any syntax error myself. Okay, so whoops. Hello, RGB Mike. That's what you're gonna call me now. problem I have with using bats is how I need to keep doing submodules for everything. I don't want to do submodules. So annoying to set up like this. So I go into the project root and then I do get submodule add, all that. Get submodule add, another submodule that's being added, and then another submodule is being added. Like, why? Can't it all just be one thing? Maybe I should I just do that? Should I do like init bats and that's gonna do all of these together? That actually doesn't sound like a terrible idea. So how do I do this? Okay, I should create a local bin init bats. Okay, so I want a target directory, that's for sure. So if it's so funny that I'm trying to set up something else completely unrelated to the main part, and in order to set that up, I'm taking on another side quest. This is how I work all the time. Okay. Now I need the versions. Let's see. There's bats core, there's bats support, and there's bats assert. So test is the directory, and then test has bats. And hold on a sec. So bats core goes into test bats. So test is the directory name that I expect. Then there's going to be test helper within that. And inside of test helper, you'll have bat support and bat assert. So that's three submodules. And does it have to be a submodule though? I could also just not check this into Git, right? I could just clone it separately and then leave, you know. Hmm. Okay, that's not a terrible idea. So I could have, no, wait. I'm not sure how that would work. Wait, let me get the versions first. Versions. Bats Core. What's the latest version of Bats Core? 11 branches, 32 tags. latest tag is version bats core version is equal to version 1.13.0. Then after bats core, it's bats assert and bats. What's the other one? Bats assert is one. Bats support. Bats support. Yeah, bats support. Tags. This is assert. Assert version is 2.2.4. And then there is bats support, which is at version 0.3.0. Hasn't changed in a long time. Okay, so those are. I've actually never done read only, but this might be a good time to use read only. Okay, okay, close. And then instead of git submodule add, we're going to do make dir. And it's possible that one, it already exists, another, it has, I don't know, some other subdirectory in it. So that. And then we are going to do cd git init git remote add okay, git remote add repo org slash batscore.git. It's going to have to be that, and then we're going to do that, and then we do git init dot. So now I don't need git c, git remote add that branch bats for version. And then I do git fetch. I could just do git checkout, right? So one thing. So when I do git remote add, I cannot set a branch. So how do I do that? So git remote, no tags, name, URL, set head, set branches. So I could do git add and then I could do git set branches, git remote set branches, and then I do this branch. Add name branch. Okay. So I do git remote add and then I do git remote set branches. Origin is that. Would that work? Okay, so let's see. You need to tell me where you want your bats to hang. Then read only bats core version is version 1.13.0. Read only bats assert version is version 2.2.4, etc. Read only repo org, that is fine. And then you do git remote add repo org bats core dot git. Git remote set branches origin is only one version because I don't want all of it. And then I do git oops, git fetch depth 1. So indirect parameters is a bash feature then. Yeah, it's a bash feature. Does not exist. Because I'm just thinking about how I need to do 3 different gets instead of putting it in a loop. Would it be better to put it in a loop? I don't know. I feel like it's not always efficient to put it in a loop. It's probably fine. Let's see how this goes first. Okay, now I do. Oops, I don't think I have this. Change this into an executable file. Init bats. You need to tell me where you want to hang your bats. You want to check one thing over here. Mm-mm. Oh, okay. Okay, so that is done. Now I have to do. I'm gonna create a directory called test. So the plan is to do init bats in a directory called test initialized. Because it's a tag, right? Change the list of branches tracked by name remote. This can be used to track a subset of available remotes after the initial setup of a remote. Name branches will be interpreted as if specified with the T option or wait, what? So get remote add already had a T option. Oh, I could do T branch. Okay, track. Should I do that? With T branch name instead of the default glob respec for the remote to track all branches under the ref's remote's namespace. Respect to track only branches created. You can give more than one T branches to track multiple branches without grabbing all branches. I did not know this. Well, this is cool. Especially when I'm bringing in other people's projects. I don't want all of it. So I could do get remote add origin that T with Bats core version. Whoops, what did I do? Okay, let's try this again. Hmm. How do I normally do this? I do get add init get checkout. No, I don't set huh, interesting. I didn't set any branch on that. But I did it with get clone. Okay, with get clone that's possible then. I think it's possible with get clone. Man get clone. Then I can do a branch here. Okay, instead of pointing the newly created head to the branch pointed by the clone repository. Okay. And then can I? Hmm. What is single branch? Single branch clone only the history leading to the tip of a single branch, either specified as the branch option or the primary branch remote's head points at. Got it. So this is what I want. Got it. So I do, instead of get init, I will do get clone that. We will not do this. Instead, we will do branch, single branch. And then we're going to do bats. Oh, I could also do the depth one over here because clone does take depth. Okay. Bats, and then it's test helper. How does it know that? Test helper bats support, or because it's okay. Bats support. Bat support, bats core, bat support, and then bats assert. Single branch depth one. Assert. Would be nice if I could put this all in one loop, but I don't think I have support to do that. Now the problem here is I'm doing git clone. If I could do get submodules instead, that might be pretty cool. That is why you always have checks, because I forgot that I have to give a directory and it didn't let me do it. Even if it's something, oh, okay. Put it in the wrong folder. Yeah, so I created the directory, but I didn't actually do anything inside of it. Wait, I don't need to create the directory though. Do I? Yeah, I don't need to create the directory if I am using git clone. Git clone will create it for me. Okay, so rmrf everything. Bats init bats test. Cloning into test bats, and then there's another one, and then there's another one. Advice detached head to false. I should probably do that. This is annoying. That's way too much. Oh, tags is not a commit. Switching to something else. Refs tags v2.2.4 is not a commit. Why is it not a commit? I think I mixed up the variables. No, I didn't. Oh wait, I did. I'm confused now. Wait. Bats assert. But why is okay? I think I didn't. Hold on. Bats assert version. What happened here? Why is it saying the same thing for all of them? What does that mean? How can it not be a commit? It's a tag. Tags are commits. Oh, is it because what is going on? I have a certain application that I use. It's called Journal. Only 3 seconds lag, not bad. I have an application called Journal for keeping a diary on my command line. Setting it up is not easy. It's not very hard either, but it's a little tedious because I have encryption set up in my journal, and to set it up in a way that works automatically, you need to decrypt it first and then you need to encrypt it again. And I find that annoying, especially because I want to use like an old journal as well as a new journal. I want to keep all of them. And because of how often I keep resetting my device, it's annoying to set it up. So I wanted to make that simpler. In the process of doing that, I thought I will use tests because doing this, even developing this alternate way of setting up my journal so it's easier is taking way too much effort and time. So I thought I'll have tests for my own tool to set up journal. But then when I was looking at the only testing framework that I know, I realized I don't like setting it up. And that's probably one of the reasons why I haven't used it very much. So now I am creating another tool to set up the testing framework more easily. It's called Bats. It's actually designed for Bash. So you can only do command line stuff with it. Like if you give it a command, then you can check the output of the command. That's mostly how it works, if I'm not wrong. I don't think you could use it for like JavaScript or anything else. I think this is mostly a command line tool. And it's designed for Bash, but you could use it for any Unix programs. Well, you write JavaScript. I don't. Not anymore. Mm-mm. Yeah, I am making a tool to set up bats. Because if you look at the docs for bats, docs for bats, where is it? Contributing docs, I guess. Yeah, docs. Yeah, the docs for bats. Da, 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 da. Source installation. That is not the installation that I wanted. Tutorial. If you go into the tutorial, you can see that quick installation. You already have an existing Git repository. It's easy to include bats and its libraries as submodules. And the idea is that you use 3 of these commands for every project. I don't want to do that. And I don't even want submodules. I don't want to create submodules because sometimes I don't want bats in my repository. So now I'm just going to try and do this. Thing is, these are simple commands. It's irksome because of, no, it makes sense because you would want your testing framework to be part of your repository. That's how you normally do it. But this is a third party tool which doesn't follow the typical installation methods. So it's a bit awkward, I guess. But the real reason I find it awkward is because of how long the name is. Like I have to come here I have to come here to type it out or copy it out every time because I cannot remember this. And it's like test, and then there's test helper, and then there's bat support, and then there's bat assert. Look at how long these are. I don't like these. Do they not follow standards? I guess they do. I don't really think there's a standard for bash testing. I think this is, as far as I know, this is the only framework that does bash testing. Okay, so my problem right now is I already started writing the tool. So this is the tool that I have, but it's giving me not errors, it's more like it's giving me warnings, and I don't understand these warnings. It's basically saying, turning into test paths, that's good. Version 1.13.0 is not a commit, but it's supposed to be a commit, but it's saying it's not, and I don't understand why it says that. So I'm trying to find why that's happening. Tags. See, that's a tag. Why is it not working? Oops. It switched instead. Wow. Wow. Switching to 3BCA150. 3BCA. Okay, it's the same thing. That's weird. Is that also the latest commit? No, it's not. Oh, okay. So this is just Aha. Wait. So actually, I think I can completely ignore this warning. So in test bats, if I do get status, not currently on any branch. Okay. Get branch, no branch. Makes sense. Get L1 is release bats version 1.13.1. All right, there's a tag. So if I did get tag list. Okay. So it's just a warning. It's converting my tag name into a commit in the background, and that's fine. That's hardly an issue. Okay, so that's pretty good. Okay, one thing I want to do is reduce the amount of output because that's annoying. And git clone quiet, operate quietly. Mm. Oh, you know what I could do? Clone helper, git clone branch. Let's do, I don't know, like third argument. Let's put single branch in front. Single branch, branch depth 1. Then it takes repo org slash. I'm writing a function and then, because right now I'm doing this 3 times. So I've get clone blah blah blah, get clone blah blah blah, get clone blah blah blah. So if I want to make a change, if I want to be like, okay, now this is annoying, so I want it to be quiet. So I'll have to do quiet. Then I have to go down here, quiet. And I have to go down here. Whoops, quiet. And that's just one example. If I want to make another change, then it's going to be the same thing again. So I'm looking at the variable. So there are 3 elements to this. So I'm going to create a function and then just pass the 3 elements over and over. So it'll be like the URL, the target directory, and the version. So I'm also going to add a little test here. So I'm going to add a little test here. If the number of arguments is not equal to 3, you're going to throw an error. Oops, oops. Let's go there. I could probably do that. What am I copying? What do you mean? Oh, you saw the word cat and you thought I was copying something? Clone helper. Yeah. Yes. It's the short version is you can use cat to show messages, but you can also create like multi-line messages instead of doing echo. So instead of having 3 different print statements, you have one print statement and then you use a little bit of mumbo jumbo to do this. Mm, mm, mm. Clone helper. First thing we're gonna do is URL directory and version. Okay. Da, da, da. So now we do branch, single branch. Mm, mm, mm. Okay, that's it. So git clone single branch depth one URL directory version of branch. So now I can do clone helper. Oh, I didn't do the quiet. That was the whole point of this. Quiet. So now I can delete this. And actually, I can delete all of this. Then I will just, whoops. So I do bats core. Then there's going to be bats support. This is going to be bats uses this. No, no. Actually, I don't know what BAT stands for. I think it stands for something. Yeah, there it is. BATS stands for Bash Automated Testing System. But they did go all in on the BAT theme. Pretty cool logo. I know. It's a pretty cool logo. I think they mentioned who did it. Why was this fork created? Oh, there was actually a Bash BATS before this. Oh, whoops. There it is. Who created the logo? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Bat's logo was created by Vukhori and sponsored by Seth Falco. If you want to use our logo, have a look at our guidelines. It's a really cool logo though. Because this part is the Bash logo. Alright, so Bats D, and then we do Bats D test helper. Oh, interesting. I didn't even notice this. So test helper doesn't go into bats. See, this is what I'm talking about. I have been thinking that these test helpers go inside the bats directly, but it's not. It goes into the test directory, which is so annoying. Actually, I think the way you would use it is you would import test helper every time or something like that. Version history docs. We had a documentation site. Quick installation. Do that. Annoying, but I do that. Let's do some setup, dealing with output. Okay, I don't have to import it. I guess it can work without the test helper. Is that how this is supposed to go? Do I not need the test helper? Or does bats automatically import it from the parent directory? I don't get it. Excuse me. Wait, so it's not batsd, it's test helper, and then what do you like that? It's test helper slash bats assert. Well, maybe from now onwards I'll be using bash bats a lot more because now I can set this up easily. But the bats was a tester. No, so it's like, hmm. So that's why this is a bit weird because normally the way you would do this is if you're using Node, for example, this is your project directory, and then that's the root of your project directory. You have, what do you have? I don't know, you have like, maybe you have a source directory, and then you usually have like, what's it called? Index.js? Sure, maybe you have an index.js over here. You definitely have a, what is it called? Package.json, yes. Oh, it's been so long, I forgot how package.json works. You have package.json. And then you would have Node modules. You know, the very big folder that everybody loves talking about. So inside of Node modules is where you'd have something like Jester. So everything is like hidden away. Wherever you're writing your test, it's probably going to be like this. This is how you write it with Jester or whatever you're using. I'm assuming that's how you write it. But either way, you don't think about Jester because Jester's completely hidden away behind Node modules. Not the case here. So if you were to compare this, it would be like that. It's called Jest, not Jester, my bad. Jest, like that. So if you're comparing that structure with this is what's happening. So I have to put my Jest folder inside of tests because Jest, or rather bats in this case, is a completely different utility, and I need to bring it in and put it over here. Technically, even Jest is like third party because first party would be you, second party would be, I don't know, Node or something. But it's not given. Yeah, first party and second party would be you and Node because you're using Node. But Jest is, different. It's a different developer, but it's been integrated into the same ecosystem, which is not the case with Bash because Bash doesn't really have an ecosystem in the first place. It's all like fragmented tools that people use whenever they want. Yes. It would probably be something similar if you were developing with for C also. Because I don't think C, let's just say it's not mainstream. It's not about it being mainstream. It's just people developed tools at different times in different ways. So it's a bit fragmented. But with Node, like there's the idea, the difference is Node has a module system. A package manager. There's a packaging system for Node, so it becomes easier. Uh, the only language I can compare with is Go, but Go doesn't really count because in Go, the testing framework is part of the language, so that's a different case altogether. What are the languages there? Python. I think Python testing also you can just like install, a module with pip, and then you'd be like doing testing and stuff. So those have packaging systems, and Bash does not because Bash is like a core package of the system. So it doesn't have its separate packaging system. I'm not into any testing, but it's hard not using testing. It's hard after a point because there's just too many things that you can't control. You have to keep looking at stuff, constantly keep track of stuff, and it becomes annoying. Okay. So bats core, and then we do bats support. Oh wait, this bats support. This was the directory, not the URL. Yep. 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 Okay. Yes, exactly. So this works, probably. I should test it. But the thing is, now I can't really test this because I don't have tests set up for this yet. I don't even know what I would want to test because I haven't actually used bats that much. So, whoops, init bats test. Whoopsies, line 26. What did I mess up? Oh, I didn't do it then. So, in JavaScript you have braces to indicate a code block? Yeah. Bash doesn't do code blocks. It doesn't do braces for code blocks. Instead, it does this. So if I have an if, this is the condition, then it's just there. And then if that's how you denote the block, and then you have the body here. So if is just if in fee. So that is how you demark the blocks. So if I were to have another if statement in here, if then fee again. Then there's also while stuff do done. Another one that's actually in the same vein as if is case. So case, you give it a variable in, I don't know, one case, XY chromosomes, or it XX XX, no, it's YY. YY or XY, then ESAC, which is the reverse of case. So I could case chromosome pair in XYXX. There you go. And another one because intersex people do exist. YY, isn't it YY? I don't remember biology. Yeah, it's YY, yeah. Wait, what? No, it's YY. No, it's YY. Let's check this. It is YY and X. No, it's the other way around. Oh, no, it isn't? Oops. No, 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 you're right, you're right. Sorry. You're right. You are right. You are right. It's XX and XY. XX and XY. I was right the first time. I don't know why I changed it. So yeah, that. Okay, case and Isaac. Okay, now let's do this. Right, I can turn this setting off by setting the variable advice to detach head to false. So let's not do this. Let's also do this. Is what I was trying to say. Config. Hmm. It's not config. It's just dash C. I don't think there's a long option for this. Version 1.13.0 not found. I didn't notice that. That's what happens when you have too many errors. It becomes hard to keep track of what's happening. You have too much output. That's assert. What is the latest tag on this? The latest tag is two dot. Wait, which one was it? What was the one that we didn't have? 1.13.0 not found in upstream. I don't think I changed the variables correctly. Okay, this is not core version. This is supposed to be a Z version. There are still warnings. I think it's this one. No, there's always a pair. There's always a pair of chromosomes, right? Y means the absence of the X. No. The way it works is uh men have XY. Oh wait, what are you talking about then? Oh, then I don't know. Because I only know as far as the pairs go. Yeah, men are XY and women are XX. So when your cell is divided into two, you get one, either X or X, either X or Y, and depending on which one fertilizes the egg, you get the pair. So I have no idea what you're talking about then. That's as far as I know. This one. Missing commits check. No, it's not a rebase. Okay, let's see. Is not a commit. Man, commit. Oh, that's gonna be. Oh, wait, detached head. No, not that one. Clone, reject shallow, clone, filter submodules. That was not a lot. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-hmm. So we were both wrong, just at different times. Hmm. Well, hmm. Yeah, you can't have an X by itself, though. That's the thing. Because now you're confusing me. Shut up. Okay. So I have warnings. The easiest way would just be to like ignore all warnings, send them all to dev null. But I want to do it within Git. See if it's possible to do that. Okay, so it's only the warnings that are a problem. Man, Git, wrong, quiet, verbose, error. No, not that one. Get redirect. The standard input allows output handles. Get redirect. What? So if I did, okay, let me test this out. So if I did get redirect, standard error is equal to dev null init bats test. Nah, it didn't work. No, I didn't read what it said. It was like, oh, that sounds so interesting, and then I did something, which was yeah, which was obviously silly. Oh, it's a Windows only thing. I didn't even notice that. No, it's a Windows only thing because Windows doesn't have built-in features to be like, hey, get rid of everything. Mm, 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 mm. Okay, I am just gonna throw everything in dev now. I don't care. Yeah, I don't care. There's one command. It's fine. Oops. Okay. See, the thing is, bats is like 406 files. 406 files. So many files that has to download. Actually, I don't need this part. I don't need docs. Should I add a filter for that? Should I be like, yeah, I don't need that. but not sure how to do it. There's not much docs over here. You know what? It's fine for now. This is good enough. So now this is not actually a Git repository, but if it were a Git repository and then I wanted this, I could probably do like git add test paths. And it's gonna be oh, it's a submodule, so don't do that. And then what do I do? I can do git rm cached test paths. So I would do git sub module add blah 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 test paths. So that would be annoying, which is probably why I should do HTTPS. I should use the URL, which is again annoying because that's how long it is. Then it's like, oh, it exists in the index. What? So this is what I want to do. So I would do init paths. It would download everything. If I don't want it, I can just put it in my git ignore. I don't care about the test directory at all. But if I wanted it, I could also do this. That I think is pretty cool. Do I want to have it get ignored by default? I'm not really sure. I could probably add a few more arguments. So right now I have init paths. I could probably do. So this is the directory, test directory. I could add something like uh as submodule, and then I could also probably do something like that's one option. Another option could be like git ignore, but that's for later. I don't care. This much is good enough now. Oh, not this certain city local bin. Well, should I make another another what's it called? Another side quest? I am making another side quest. See, okay, do you want an explanation of this side quest? It's a long explanation, I'll tell you that. So are you familiar with the whole thing about dot files? So in Unix's, Mac OS, Linux, and everything, files that start with a dot are considered hidden. So right now you see there's nothing, there's very few files here, but if I did ls1a, so dash a or a small a is like show me the hidden files as well. Now you see there's a lot more files. So hidden files like this are what you use to configure your system. So a very good example of this would be like, so I do ZSHRC, I have ZSHRC, sorry. I have ZSHRC, so I can do something like set opt sh word split. So that's like an option that configures my shell. In this case, ZSHRC. Sorry, ZSH is the shell. ZSHRC is a dot file that configures the shell. And then there's SSH. So there's a directory called .ssh that configures SSH. And config is a directory of a bunch. Yeah, such a struggle. There's a directory called config which has all of my, it has a lot of configuration files. So what is an example that I can show you? Okay, no, not that one. What is an example? So for example, you see Google Chrome is inside .config. So that's like Chrome settings and stuff. Swaybar, system tmux, sh, sway. I don't really have a lot of things that I can change immediately to show you. Yeah, but those are dot files, okay? And you tend to have a lot of them on your system. So I already have like, so dot local is another dot directory. And inside of this, I have a bunch of scripts. I actually don't have a lot of scripts in this one. Okay, so this is a script, this is a script, this is a script, script. And what do you mean JSON? JSON, yeah, you could use JSON for configurations, yeah, but not very often. You would more likely encounter something called INI, or you would have YAML because JSON's hard to write. The journal, for example, you use YAML. Yeah, actually, there's a lot of XML. For older programs, there is XML, even though it's a lot harder to write. But older programs do use XML. Oh, yeah, there's one example of XML actually. I have one right here xcat config xkb symbols banana. So, not this one. Whoops. It's edev or evdev, whatever. Rules. Yeah, this one is XML. So, this uses XML. So, you kind of have a lot of files like this. So, for example, the file that I showed you just now, banana. Banana is my custom key layout. That's kind of like an extension of the French layout because so this key in particular, it doesn't have uh okay, the thing is the French keyboard has an additional key. Let me put it this way. The French keyboard has an additional key, but my keyboards are US keyboards, so they don't have the additional key at all. So what I did is I mapped an existing key and added layers to the key. So by default, this key, which is like it's to the left of shift, I think. So this is a key code for whatever is on my keyboard to the left of shift. So layer one is exclamatory mark. Shift plus this key would give me greater than. Alt plus this key would give me less than. Shift, Alt together would give me exclamatory mark. So because I don't have the key for greater than and less than, which would normally be an additional key, I don't have that key on my keyboard. So I was like, okay, let's do it this way. So that's what this does. So you see, this is in a different, whoops, this is in a completely different place from, for example, my ZSHRC file. Or there's stuff in like local bin, which is a bunch of scripts that I use. Not here. Oh, wait, I could actually show you here. So these are a bunch of scripts that I've written for my own use, you know. So this is one script, this is a script. All of these are scripts that I use. And you see these are all scattered all over your home directory. And it's also inside your home directory that you'd have stuff like documents, downloads, music. So it doesn't make sense to just back up my entire home directory because then I would also get, media files, and media files are a lot bigger. But I don't want to keep my media files, everywhere. For example, if I wanted these exact same configurations from this system onto another system, I could just take all of my dot files. I don't need my media files for that. So the way a lot of people do it is they put all of those dot files in a Git repository and then they copy those files out. And what I have done is this is my Git repository of dot files. Yeah, there's a lot of files. There's a lot of files. That is a lot of files. Whoa. Yeah, all of these are my dot files inside of a Git repository. Now, this is the path to the Git repository. It's inside dot local state home, and this is where the actual Git repository lives. And then I use something called stow. So the way stow works is I actually don't know. I don't know the full command. Make n. So the way stow works is you give it one directory, then you give it a target directory, and what it would do is it would create symbolic links of everything from directory to the target. So for example, I have a file called readme inside of my Git repository. So because I've done stow, I would also have it in my home directory. This is a subdirectory, okay? My Git repository is inside my home directory, but it's like really deep inside. But now this is just at the very base of my readme.md. If I did a long listing, you'll see that it's just what happened. Eh? Well, this is awkward. Oh, I think I ignored it. Uh, I think I excluded it because I didn't want it to be there. Wait, I'll show you another file. This was awkward. So ls make file. Uh, yeah, symlinks are like shortcuts. So if I did lsl root directory, sorry, home directory, make file, you'll see just so this is in the home directory. It points to local state home make file, which is this file. So I could also give you with real path make file. So this is my Git repository. Up to here is my Git repository. Inside my Git repository, I have a file called makefile. And this is my home directory. Home Kevin and Samuel makefile, which is a symbolic link. Like you said, a shortcut. A shortcut to this. Now, the way you would add stuff here, normally you would just be like, yeah, let me go into cd local bin, and then you start typing away and you script and then you want to save it. But now it's not possible to do that because this is not your Git repository. Your Git repository lives elsewhere. So init bats, it's not something that this Git repository can detect because it's not under it. It's completely elsewhere. So what you would do is you would have to copy this into that. But you'd also want to preserve the same structure because that's the whole point of it. Because store respects the structure of your Git repository, so it respects the structure of your source. So in order to recreate it, I would have to take init bats, go into my source directory, my Git repository, create .local bin, and copy init bats there. Actually, move init bats there, and then do store again so that it comes back here as a symbolic link. Fun. So much fun. So you see, these are the kinds of annoying tasks that you'd have to do, which is why I did something called adopt. It's inside of store's terminology. Actually, store has a function called adopt. So adopt would adopt directories from the target into the source. So that's kind of the same idea, but it doesn't know when to adopt. It only adopts when the file already exists. And only when it stores adopt only works when there's a conflict. And no, I don't think I would call it a clone. So the way adopt would work is if I already had init bats in my Git repository as an empty file, and then I did store adopt, this file would move over there. Yeah. So because that's annoying is why I have another shortcut shortcut command of sorts that does adopt for me. But the way that works is like, oh, not like this. Let me show you how it works. So I do this, which gives me everything. So this is my file manager, and then I have to go in and then I have to select a file. What's a file I can select? I don't have any files at all over here. Just for example's sake, let's say I'm selecting water and then I'll be like enter. So now lsl nextcloud journal water.text. So you see this one's been moved into my Git repository. Until here is my Git repository. So it created the Nextcloud directory, created the journal directory, and then created water.txt. So if I go into my Git repository, get status, it's like, oh, there's a new file, Nextcloud. Yeah, I don't need this one. This is useless. I'm going to remove this. rm r Nextcloud journal, and then Nextcloud as well. Yeah, so the thing is, make adopt. With this, there's no way for me to like give it additional arguments. You can't be like, you know what, don't make this complicated for me, just do make adopt Nextcloud journal water.txt. That would not be possible with make. It would be possible if I set a variable, but that's so wordy and annoying. I didn't want to do that, which is why make adopt brings up this. But this is also annoying because there's a few restrictions. I can do this only from within the home directory. So if I want to adopt something from local bin, I have to go local, then bin, and then I have to go select the file. I can't just tell it, oh, go in local bin. So if I were inside of local bin and then I did make adopt, it's going to be like make adopt what? So I want to do it with just, because just adopt would work. Well, it doesn't have anything right now. So I need to change my just file. Adopt is going to do target. I could actually do more than one target. But how do I do it with loops? I'm not very sure. Okay, let's try. So I do adopt target, then I do adopt for I actually don't know how to do this one. Just dot systems periodic arguments. What's it called? Attributes, just files, invoking multiple recipes. Have I already told you about just files? They're pretty cool. No? The just is what's called a command runner, so you can just I'll show you in a second. Default recipe, one sec. That's one. Recipe parameters. Periodic parameters accept one or more arguments and expand to a string containing these arguments separated by spaces. So just backup FAQ, blah blah blah. How do I use this? I just call the thing periodic parameters prefixed with accept 0 or more arguments and expand to a string containing those arguments separated by spaces or an empty string if no arguments are present. Can be assigned a default values. Wait, this has to be prefixed or suffix? Oh, it's prefix. Okay, I'll check. I'll fix that. Substitutions may need to be quoted if they contain spaces. For example, if you have the following recipe, okay, that's going to be annoying. Okay, let's try. Okay, so just files. It's a more modern version of something called makefiles. Makefiles are from back when C was popular. It's still used in a lot of places though. To make files, you just set up a bunch of targets. So you could do an example. A very common example would be something like build. Then you'd have docs, and then you'd have install. Very basic, very common example. So then build would be like compile. I don't know. Compile source.c output command name or project name. I don't know. So then instead of having to type compile source.c, all of this, and this is a very rudimentary example, normally people would have a bunch of other flags. I don't know. I actually don't know a lot of flags, but there is this. So you'd have a lot of flags, and then you'd have to type all of these flags every time. So instead, you set up a make file or a just file, and then you give it a target. So then I can just call this by doing just build. I'm not actually calling it because that command doesn't make sense. So if I just did just build, it would run the same command. So I can condense all of these flags and other things that are other variables and make it easier to just type commands. Just files do exist for macOS as well. Make files exist by default, but it's a slightly different version of make than what I would use. Uh, I think you could also do stuff like npm install, but I guess npm install is pretty easy. Uh, if you used npm scripts, it's kind of like npm scripts. So I don't know if you've seen it. In npm scripts, you can just set a bunch of scripts like run dev, and then they would execute different commands. It's kind of like that, but it's more language agnostic because it's not restricted to Node. Because npm scripts only work with a node, but here you can do anything, and you can also use other commands. So yeah, exactly. So what I'm trying to do right now is adopt. I'm going to try something targets. Then we're going to do for target in targets do just adopt target done. And then I'm going to do this as well, and then we're going to do adopt target adopting target. This feels a little hacky, but let's see. Oh wait, this wouldn't work. So if I did just adopt by itself, right, didn't work at all. I was kind of hoping I could do something like function signatures, but that is not happening. All right, let me go copy what I have in my make file first. So what do I have in my make file? Okay, copy, paste. This is useless. So this is all one command. So I could probably do. Mm, mm. I have a lot of make variables here and make functions, but those wouldn't work here. I'm wondering if I should just define this as a shell script because this is multi-line, and with multi-line it's a little annoying. So if I did bin sh set e target in targets do name is equal to for file in targets name is equal to, oh, okay, this is not necessarily relevant anymore because back then I was using nnn, which meant I would have the full path, but now it may not be the full path, so it's probably just going to be like file, and then I probably need to do no cd. Okay, so I do no cd for file and targets name is equal to file home blah blah blah. So instead of that we will have name, no, we're going to do path is equal to real path. Actually, I don't need the real path. So the idea is I do a make there of all of that. Oh, I don't need the real path. Sorry. Real path of file. And then real path, I could make it relative to home. Print the resolve path relative to directory. So I could print absolute paths unless below dir. Okay, let me check how this works. So if I did real path init paths relative to is equal to home, that's not right. Oh, okay. I made a mistake over there. This should work. Okay, so I do real path file relative to home directory. That would work. So I can just do relative real path file relative to equals home. Then make there. Then we do home local state home, which is where I have my Git repository. Path remove suffix so it's only the directory, and then you just do the move. Guess I don't really need the name. Yeah, I don't need a name. Don't need this. So I do a move of path file. So I need to set state there is equal to that. Oh no, I can just do, yeah, stately path. How does MV work with the T flag? So it takes source and destination. Treat dest as a normal file. So I need path as well as. Oh, that wouldn't work. No, that would work. This path is to file. That should be fine. Good enough. Good enough. Oh no. Okay, what is wrong? YSIW close. That worked. Mm, 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 mm. So this should work. So if I just did just adopt init bats, init bats is already an error. Okay. Shebang recipes. What am I doing wrong? I think this isn't working because I have periodic targets parameters. Well, that's disappointing. Okay, so if it's an optional, it works. Oh, I didn't fix the. No, I did fix it. Never mind. That was not the one. So if I did this, Oh, I should have read the error message. That was the problem. Okay, so I did something wrong here. Oh, I did remove prefix instead of remove suffix. Mm, mm, mm. Very nice. So that worked. Yeah, it worked. That's all I care about right now. It's so many changes. Yeah. First things first. Now let's not do that. Git add just file and dot local bin init bats. Git s. Git commit m. Oh, that's too many changes for one. Git restore staged just file. Git add. No, git commit. Just file. Oh, bash. Which part were you talking about? I'm not really sure which part you're talking about. Was it this part? This file? Are you talking about the greet? This one? This is bash, not bash exactly, shell script inside of a just file. Yeah. So normally, uh, just files are line by line. Just files are line by line. So like one line is a command that's run separately. The second line has no idea what the previous line was. So if I was setting a variable in the previous line, the second line would not know what this variable was. So right now I'm setting the variable name over there. And here I'm accessing the variable name and it's going to be like, oh, that doesn't exist. That's how just files work normally. Make files are the exact same. Normally, it's like each line is a separate command and there's no shared environment. So if you want to force a shared environment, then you do this. It's a feature of just files. And I kind of wanted to because I'm doing targets. If I'm doing multiple targets, then I need it, sort of. So yes. Chill, chill, chill. It's also fun that you're asking me questions because otherwise I have nothing to do. This is fun. Finally adopting better. I should probably. Oops. Okay, so that is done. Cool. So now let's get back to the main part. Why is README here? Ah, that is why. Well, it's good that it's documented. Uh, so Git only tracks files. Git doesn't care about directories. And I wanted this directory to be created by Git, sort of like not Git exactly. Now it's done by Stow. Back then, I used a different configuration method. I didn't use Stow, so I would just have my entire home directory as a Git repository. And Git only tracks files. So if libexec is an empty directory, Git doesn't care about it. Git never sees the directory. So I created a file called readme.md and then told Git, look at the readme.md. I want you to keep track of it. So now it has to create the libexec directory to create the readme.file, readme.md file. Okay. Init bats test.temp. Yeah. No, actually, readme.md was, yeah, I guess. The thing I wanted was libexec, but readme.md came along because that was the only way to bring it along. So now let's see how to use bats. I'll probably sleep in a bit though, because I have work after this. Okay, quick installation. We will not follow your steps, we will do it our way. And we did it our way already. Your first test. Now you want to add your first test. I'm gonna move you off to this side. Or maybe I'll just move you a little higher. Alright, your first test. Now we want to add our first test. In the tutorial repository, we want to build up because it was blocking part of the text. At least I thought it was blocking part of the text, but apparently there's no text over there. We want to build up a project in a TDD fashion. Thus, we start with an empty project, and our first test is to run our non-existent shell script. Can run our script and run it by doing C. So you create a file, create a new test file, test/test.bats. Simple enough. That's the content. And run it by calling test bats bin bats test bats. That is why you would use a makefile or a just file. This is the exact reason. Oh wait, how do I do this? This, yeah, that works. This is the exact reason why you would use a command runner like just or make. Okay, our test is red. Obviously, it's probably red because I made some mistakes while typing it out. So test takes what? Oh, test.temp bats bin bats. Then it takes. I think it can take multiple arguments. So I'll do like this. Then inside of test, we do test.temp. We just do, I don't know. I'll just call it test.bats. So how does the structure go? Annotate dot annotate with ampersand test, give it a name, and then run a command. This is such a silly test. I don't get this. Oh wait, so no CD, is that how it works? Test command. Okay, I'm just going to test.x dot forward slash add journal to config. Test the file. libexec test does not exist. What are you talking about? Oh, what? Oh, okay, okay. It's supposed to be like this. It's test.temp. Okay. You see how annoying it is? Okay, so this is fine because in this, I'm guessing it just takes whatever directory I'm running it from. So that is fine. It's just file that needs to change. So I'm gonna do test.temp slash, but then I couldn't do this. So hmm. It's supposed to be test bin bats, test bats. It is so annoying. I can see why I didn't use bats very much. I'll probably also create this just file as part of my init bats script because that is annoying. What did I want to check? Just systems. Functions. Do I have an append? Prepend. I do have a prepend function. Perfect. Prepend prefix to white space to separated strings in S. That is cool. That's perfect. So I can just do, oops, prepend test.temp comma tests, and I can also do an append on that with dot bats. That looks very bad, but this should work. Okay, just to check, let's do, whoops. Okay. What is this? Hmm. For some reason, append went off to the wrong place. Append suffix to white space separated strings in S. Oh, there's an absolute path inside of this. Probably use that. Oh, there's also extension, file name, file stem, file path. All of this is interesting. I could use these. These would be pretty cool. But there's one problem, this one doesn't have like relative directories from home. So that wouldn't work. Some of these are interesting. I could probably use them. Okay, let's do this one by one. Test.temp/test. That's perfect. Test. Let's do A, B, C. Test.temp/A, test.temp/B/C. That's correct. Hmm. So why is append going to the front instead of the back? He's doing prepend again. Oh. Okay. Oh, wait, I'm doing it in the wrong order. I think that was the problem. Suffix and S. Yeah, it's in the wrong order. Got it. Append, and then you do dot bats, comma, and then I can delete this. Whoops. Yeah, that works. So if I do just test, if it's executable, I could also give it a default, which is what I'm going to do. Yeah, just test is executable. Add journal to config failed. Okay, it's not executable. I actually didn't know that. Wow. So now I can fix that. Passed. TDD for real. Unexpectedly. Wait, I'm actually going to do this. I'm actually going to add this stupid thing to a just file as part of my uh init bat command. Packages, backwards compatibility, Vim, Emacs, quick start. Do you use tab or spaces? I never noticed. hmm Recipe lines can be indented with spaces or tabs, but not a mix of both. All of a recipe's lines must have the same type of indentation, but different recipes in the same just file may use different indentation. Okay. Okay. So I could just do it with spaces, although that's not ideal. So I shall sacrifice the readability in the script and do this. For some reason, this is not ending. I don't know why. Okay, that worked fine. That worked fine. Cat TA just file. Did it not get EOM? Oh, put the EOM in the wrong part. Did I? I don't think this makes sense. Okay, it makes sense. Sometimes the colors confuse me more. Oh, yeah, that works. Yeah, it's a very short password. I type it so frequently too. That's why it helps to keep it short. Oh no. This this was a side quest. But I should probably stop for today. Uh, Let me just look at bats a little more and then I think I'll stop. Maybe 10 more minutes. So I can do test. I figured out how to do test. That's good. Can't run our script for failed bits. Let's do some setup. The obvious solution is to become independent of. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. This was what I was thinking about because that's a very weird way to call the script. The obvious solution is to become independent of PWD is to use some fixed anchor point in the file system. We can use the path to the test file itself as an anchor and rely on the internal project structure. Since we are lazy people and we want to treat our project files as first class citizens in the executable world, we'll also put them on the paths. This is why you read the docs. Apparently, they had solutions inside it already. Whoops. Well, the thing is, I don't need to do any of this right now because. Okay, maybe this part would be interesting. But what bothers me is none of this is like, you know, each of these are steps you would do for each project because I might not have source. Oh, no, no, not 2 hours. It was like just this just file that I created just now. Everything else was, you know, needed. Directory is equal to cd the name bats test file name dev null and pwd. Okay. Yeah, I don't need to do this at all. I don't need this line at all because I'm using just files to run my test, and just files will always change directory to wherever the just file is. So it's completely unnecessary. This could be interesting. Path is equal to dir dot source path. Hmm. But it's also a little silly, I would say. But the interesting part of this is that there's a function that you can create called setup. I'm gonna do, huh? Doesn't ask us to export. Path is equal to, and then okay. I know it's, you know what, I can trust in just. Yeah, that's good enough. But just for the sake of argument, let's say I've entered a test attempt and then I did just test. Still works. Yeah, that's fine. This is a very stupid test, though, so I should probably remove that. Okay, what else can I test? Setup function will be called before each individual test in the file. Each file can only define one setup function for all tests in the file. However, setup function can differ between different files. Dealing with output. Okay, we have a green test, but our executable file doesn't do anything useful. To keep things simple, let's start with an error message. Our new blah 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 gives us the output blah blah blah. Okay, our test failed because now we have an exit 1 instead of exit 0. Additionally, we see the std out and std error. Our goal is now to retarget our test and check that we get the welcome message. Bats assert gives us some help with this. That's where this comes in. Load test helper bats assert load. So it's load test helper. Interesting. Ah, okay, because it's relative to where the test or bats file is. Got it. It's a current directory irrelevant, so we just loaded two helpers. Then you do assert output welcome to our project. Or run project.sh and then assert output welcome to our project. Okay, so just to test it, do run echo hello, assert output hello. It works. Let's for the sake of argument, I change assert output just to test. Okay, it fails. Good. Assert underscore output. That's important. Change itself, blah blah blah. For our current test, we don't care about any other output or the error message, so we want it to on. Grep is always at our fingertips, so we tape together this ramshackle construct. Run is just a function, so the pipe won't actually be forwarded into the function. Bash reads it as run project, grep welcome instead of intended. Ah, okay. Uh, okay. Completely unnecessary. Okay, so assert output gives you partial. I think I got disconnected for some reason. Or am I still connected? Oh, I'm still connected. Okay. Then this cleaning up your mess leaves behind some artifacts, a clutter, or a test environment. You can define a teardown function, which will be called after each test, regardless whether it failed or not. For example, we now want our project.sh to only show the welcome message on the first invocation. So we change our test to this. Hold on, what? We now want our project.sh to show the welcome message only in the first invocation. So we do show welcome in the first invocation. Insert output partial welcome to our project. Run project.sh. Refute output partial. Okay. Okay. This is first run file temp bats temp. Okay, ran R not implemented. Works. Now we're done. Or are we run the test? Running the test again now gives first one already fails, which is why teardown will do RMRF. But RM, where do I put the teardown? So I put it for every test. Okay. Test where you can. Rely on the environment, blah blah blah. Tear down. Look, man, no cleanup. Skip, which can be used in setup and test. Skip, the first run file already exists. Okay. Setting up a multi-file test suite? No, let's not do that. Let us not do that. Quick installation, avoiding costly repeated setup. Okay, cool. So, what I need is a teardown, and in the teardown, it's just a lot of stuff. Okay, this is going to be annoying. What are the things I need in my teardown? Lib secret. Whoops. Lib. Oh no, secret tool. Sorry, secret tool. Search application. Python keyring library. So do I have only one? Is that what it means? The horse. Login. No, I have more than one. Oh, so that is one thing that I will be doing. Cool. Okay, that's perfect. So one of the teardown functions I would need is secret tool clear application Python keyring library, and service is journal. I don't care about the username, I want everything gone. Perfect. So that's one. The other part would be removing stuff from my config. I'm just going to delete the config. Good enough. So that's my teardown. Uh, add journal to config. Do I have an assert error function by any chance? What is this? Test helper common setup? Ah, interesting. So that's also possible. Well, I'm using only one file, so it's fine. Okay, so I do. Yeah, there's no command called assert error. Bat score. What was the one called refute? Refute output. Okay. I should read this a little slowly, properly understand stuff, which I'm not going to do right now, so I am just going to sleep. But not bad. Not bad at all. I've actually got quite a bit of work done. But for today, that's enough. Oh, thank you. It was fun having you too. I'll probably do this again tomorrow. I was actually supposed to work on something completely different in relation to my job, but that's not what I did at all. Well, good night. Thanks for hanging out, people. Bye bye.